The U.S. vaccine rollout is not going well. ABC News is reporting on the stunningly bad numbers.
There is now growing frustration building over the slow rollout of the coronavirus vaccines across the U.S. Officials with Operation Warp Speed admitting vaccinations are not going as fast as they had hoped, suggesting there is a learning curve. President Trump shifting blame to the states. And the images in Fort Myers, Florida. Look at this. Hundreds of people, many of them high-risk seniors, camping out overnight just to get their shots. Here's ABC's Stephanie Ramos.
Tonight, officials acknowledging what America is experiencing. The coronavirus vaccine rollout has been slower than promised. Just look at these images. Hundreds of people waiting in line overnight in Florida to get their first shots. 90-year-old Abdullah Ben-Qatar in line for nearly 24 hours.
It's very important to me for my health and to be able to do things I like to do and get back to normal.
So far, the federal government distributing more than 14 million doses nationwide, but only about 2.5 million shots have been reported, far short of the 20 million vaccinations promised by the new year. Tonight, ABC News learning there are also issues at the state and local level, including the Pfizer vaccine's complex storage requirements, uncertainty over the supply of doses, and the strain on local health agencies in this surging pandemic. Federal officials today saying they need to do a better job, but blaming the sluggish rollout in part on this.
There's 2 holidays. There's been 3 major snowstorms. Every day, everybody gets better. And I believe that uptake will increase.
President Trump taking to Twitter, putting the blame on the states, urging them to, quote, get moving. In Maryland, more than 80% of the 191,000 doses received have yet to be administered.
It's not just sticking needles in arms. There's a lot of moving parts, and I think nobody is quite performing at the top capacity, and we've all got to work together to ramp it up.
Overseas today, the UK authorizing the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, which is cheaper and easier to store than Pfizer's.
And this is a massive thing for the world.
The UK also facing challenges with its vaccine rollout, now changing its policy, giving the first dose of the vaccine to as many people as possible instead of reserving doses for the second shot.
So just to tell you the numbers again, 14 million vaccines distributed. 14 million. Only 2.5 million have actually been used. That's incredible. It's supposed to be 20 million used by now. 20 million that have been given by now. These numbers are abysmal. And somebody made a great point. I forget who it was, but they said something along the lines of, it's amazing that we have the scientific ability to create effectively a cure for this thing. We made a vaccine or number of vaccines that are over 90% effective. So we have the scientific ability to do that, but we have the political dysfunction where we can't distribute it. Oh, that's so amazing. And that's such a great point. You know, like, yeah, we have science and technology has gotten to a point where if you told somebody about this 50 years ago, they'd look you in the eyes and say, you're insane. We're never going to be able to do that. I mean, just the idea of like a satellite, like that alone, the idea of how much computing power is in a single smartphone. Like we got all this stuff. Modern medicine is incredible. And we get that part of it taken care of, but then it all breaks down in distribution. It's just a mess, and the distribution fails miserably. And you have Trump blaming the states blaming Trump and the federal government, and round we go. And a lot of these states are sitting on a lot of doses because they all have like different plans as to how to give it out. You know, essential workers are some of the first people in line, if not the first people in line. Then you have like the elderly. And I mean, this makes sense, right? Like you see how it makes sense, but unfortunately, the distribution now is so slow that a lot of the doses are going to go bad. A lot of the vaccines are going to go bad. So if the choice is have the vaccine go bad or basically, you know, for example, get it out to every single pharmacy you possibly can and tell anybody who wants they can come and get it. I mean, I would be on the side of make sure somebody gets the vaccine and it doesn't go to waste. What side would you be on that front? You know, I think that's important. I would love to see essential workers and older people and people who are immunocompromised. They should get the vaccine first. But if that process is so slow and arduous that vaccines are going to go bad if you do that, then it should be send it out to every CVS and Walgreens and pharmacy in the country and every doctor's office in the country and say anybody can get it, you know? So maybe the real priority should be speed, because if the vaccines go bad, like what the hell's the point? Now, by the way, this fact is amazing. You didn't see it in this clip, but I saw it in a clip a few days ago. CNN actually admitted, a CNN correspondent admitted on air, the reason why our rollout has been so terrible, the reason why our distribution has been so poor when it comes to the vaccine, we don't have a national health system. So do you understand that? In other words, the layman's way of explaining that is, since we don't have Medicare for all, we're failing with the distribution of the vaccine. Because if you have a national health system, it would be highly coordinated from the top down, because it's a national health system, and you would be able to coordinate better. Instead, we have this terrible, fractured, broken down, separated out system, this insane hospital system where you have different networks of hospitals with different private companies running them, and it's just a mess. It's a mess. It's a mess. And you don't have the coordination that's necessary in order to get this vaccine out as fast as possible. So, you know, for all of the Medicare for All supporters out there, which is almost all of you, if not all of you, add this into your repertoire of talking points on this issue, because that's a devastating point. Even CNN admitted that the reason why the distribution is going so poorly is because we don't have a national health system, which means it's very uncoordinated, it's very fractured, it's very splintered, discombobulated. So here we are. Here we are. The vaccine rollout is going terribly. They need to adjust this immediately. I just read something the other day. In New York, they're only vaccinating people during standard work hours. I don't know if it's 9 to 5, but the idea is like standard work hours. So like they're not doing it around the clock, basically. That's the point. And they're taking weekends off. What? What are you doing? This is a pandemic. Guys, we're having, a lot of people hate this comparison, but I say it because it's true. We're having at least a 9/11 of deaths every single day. Every day. You think you have the luxury of weekends off? Cuomo and de Blasio? Are you crazy? And I don't want to just pick on them, although I do want to pick on them, but not just them, because a lot of other states are doing the same kind of garbage. This has been an abysmal disaster on every level. We need new leadership. We need strong leadership. We need a national health system. We need coordination. Man, oh, this is so gross. It's so bad. How do we have the vaccine? It's created, it works, and it's just sitting around for the most part. Only 14 million distributed, only 2.5 million actually given out, and it's supposed to be 20 million by now given. Disaster. Let's get this thing going. Let's get it going ASAP.